It has been a crazy week. Adri got her bites. Like, I posted a video about them. She got her bites last Sunday on the 17th. And they kept getting bad over like a couple days. So on Tuesday, I took her to urgent care. And they said they thought it might be cellulitis. Or they said it was cellulitis and that she might need IV antibiotics. And to get a second opinion from her doctor within 24 hours. So I called her doctor's office and they said don't wait 24 hours, just take her to the ER. So I took her to the ER. They said the same thing, that it was cellulitis. And they gave her regular antibiotics, Keflex, and sent us home. And she was fine for like the next couple days. She played. They didn't really seem to get better or worse. They just kind of stayed the same. And then Friday, she took a nap and she woke up from her nap with 103 temperature. It was like 102.8. So I threw a jacket on her. I didn't put shoes on her. I just threw a jacket on her and took her to the ER. And we were sitting there in the ER and I had called my dad to tell him what was going on, and I turned around and looked at her and it looked like she had kind of spit up. It's like, what the heck? So I'm like, well, Dad, let me call you back. And I just walked across the room to set my phone on the counter. I turned back and she's vomiting like all over the place. It's on her shirt, her pants, the blanket, the bed, the pillow, like everything. It's all over the place. So she starts crying and freaking out and saying, Mommy, I'm so sad, it's on my shirt and everything else. And I flagged down like Nate, the very first nurse I saw, which I worked there, so I know a lot of people. He wasn't her nurse, but he had somebody's crutches and stuff in his hand, so he set him down in the hall and went to get her a gown and came in and helped me get her all cleaned up. And like while we were there, we were in the ER probably from, let's see, from before 10, probably from like 9:30 or so p.m. till, let's see, I think she got admitted around between 3:30 and 4 in the morning. And her temperature would be 101 point something, and they'd give her, you know, Tylenol and Motrin because singly they didn't really seem to work. So they'd give her both, and within an hour they'd check her again and it'd be up over 103. So it's like, what in the hell? So she vomited 3 times, kept running a fever over 103. They admitted her, I think it was like 6 in the morning when we finally got upstairs and got situated in her room. And then, oh, and when we were in the ER, they put her on an IV antibiotic called Rosifin, something. So she was on that till morning. It was like, you give it every 12 hours, she would get that. And in the morning, she saw the house pediatrician, Dr. Tadad, and he changed it to Ansef because he said it would help with the fever since they couldn't keep her fever under control. Her fever was over 103. They were putting ice packs on her. Like within an hour of having both medicines, it'd be over 103, and they'd put an ice pack on her arm, cold rags on her head, cold rags on her legs, on her belly, because they couldn't give her anything else for another 3 hours. So it was hard for me and hard for her, and she'd cry and just say, Mommy, it's so cold. And I'm sure they were. Okay, lady, are you trying to rear end me or what? But, yeah, so he changed it to Ansef and said it should help with her fever. And that was on Saturday around 1 p.m. I think. So she stayed in the hospital that night, and then Sunday came and they still hadn't kept her fever. It was still going over 101, but not as high, so it was slowly coming down. So they kept her again. So we went in Friday night and they ended up admitting her, and she finally got out on Monday around like noon. And when they released her, they changed her because the Ansef, you can only get that antibiotic through an IV. So they switched her to what, amoxicillin / something or other that's supposed to have like an extra ingredient to help the amoxicillin work. So she was on that. So we left the hospital. I took her to my mom's while I went and got her prescription and stuff and stopped home. Like, I worked both of those nights, where I worked Saturday night and Sunday night, so I would just pop in and check on her while I was at work. The one night, let's see, Saturday night, my mom stayed with her, and I kept peeking at her. And then Sunday night, Jay stayed with her because he didn't work Sunday. So I just keep checking in on her. She got released. I took her to my mom's. Went to go get a prescription at our Meijer, where we normally get them, and they were completely out. Somebody had got the last 2 bottles, so I went over to Walgreens to get it there, and they only had 1 bottle left of this antibiotic. So I got an antibiotic, went to my mom's, and within 5 minutes of being at my mom's, she was having diarrhea, which she hadn't even had the new antibiotic yet, and at the hospital she was constipated. So I gave her medicine. She didn't want to eat, she didn't want to drink. So later on that night, her spots were looking worse again, and she was still having diarrhea. Like, she had it like 3 times in a half hour, like bad. And like, she was in there for dehydration and the fever to begin with. So I called the doctor, and the one called back and said, you know, don't give her any more of the antibiotic because that might be causing the diarrhea. And to call in the morning, which would have been which would have been called Tuesday morning, and they would see if they could get her in to be seen. So we went home, went to bed, got up Tuesday. She was still having diarrhea. Called the doctor. They got her in at like 2:20. And we got in to see our family doctor. And he said that she was just having like a secondary reaction to the bites. And to keep her, like, start taking the antibiotic again. And that the diarrhea could just be from her being up and moving. And that if her fever... if she had like a low-grade fever, just give her something for it. But if she started running a high fever, take her back in. Well, throughout the next couple hours, her her spots got so bad. Her foot was crazy. It is worse than it had ever been. And after she laid down to take a nap, and after all my worrying, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take her to Dayton Children's Hospital. So we loaded up, took her to Dayton Children's Hospital. And they said the doctor was in there like literally 20 seconds and said that it was chigger bites, because nobody else had given us an idea of what it was. They just said it was not spiders. So this doctor said they're chigger bites. You know, when these bugs bite, they inject something into the skin. So until whatever it injects breaks down and goes away completely, her bites will get better and worse and better and worse, and she'll just keep reacting to them until that stuff is gone. So he said it could get as bad where it would go all the way. What the hell is going on? Where it would go all the way to her. Why is this not shutting off? It could end up going all the way up to her knee, like before it got better. But he said it wasn't cellulitis and there was no sign of an infection, so take her off the antibiotics. He didn't know why they had her on 4 different ones to begin with, and he said if it was cellulitis, they wouldn't have used any of those. Dayton Children's Hospital was over an hour away, so that's where we went. And he said he wouldn't have used any of those antibiotics anyway. So he said to give her this oral, and not to use the hydrocortisone cream they gave her either, because the itch is coming from under the skin. So he said take her off the antibiotics, because all that's doing is messing with her stomach and giving her diarrhea and loss of appetite, which is going to make her dehydrated and back in the hospital. And he said don't put the cream on top, because that's not doing anything either, because the stuff is under the skin. And he said to give her this oral itch medicine, which is also an antihistamine, and that would help the swelling and everything go down, because her foot was swollen. So we left there feeling better. Like, he actually told us what bug it was and changed everything about it, and it made sense what he told us. Everybody else just kind of has thinking, what the hell, that doesn't make sense. So we left there and went to Steak and Shake, and she ate half of a cheeseburger and some of my milkshake, and she ate a bunch of fries, and then she wanted her own ice cream. So she was already feeling better since not having her antibiotic for so many hours. And she slept the rest of the way home, and then we got home and she woke up, she wanted a snack. So she wanted Cheez-Its and water, so I gave her a snack, and she went to bed. And she slept till about 10:30 this morning, and she ate a bag and a half of muffins and had 2 cups of orange juice. I mean, she was where she wouldn't even eat a Dorito. And if you watch my videos, you know she loves Doritos, and she has orange juice. She could drink it all day, every day. So she had 2 cups of orange juice and a bag and a half of mini muffins, and then later on she wanted a snack of Oreos. And right now, because we just got home at like 2 o'clock this morning, and right now it is 7:15 p.m. and Jay just went and got pizza. I'm not home yet, but she was so excited to have pizza. So she's already feeling better. Her spots look better already, which is probably just from the antihistamine taking them down. She's not scratching from that oral medicine. So I think we have it figured out after the last 10 days of, like I said, she got admitted Friday night into Saturday morning, and then I worked Saturday night, Sunday night, and I was up at the hospital with her all day long. I did go home the one day for like 3 hours for a nap, other than that, I was at work and checking in on her during work. And then we got home. Within a day of being home, we're seeing the doctor. And then a few hours later, we're on our way to a children's hospital. So it's been crazy. So I think we have it figured out. I've heard of chiggers, but they said it was probably because she was playing in the grass at my mom's on that Saturday. And they said it takes a while for them to show up. So they're probably there and just showed up Sunday morning. She woke up with them. And it had rained earlier Saturday, so she was playing in wet grass. And they said she's not allergic. She just has sensitive skin to bug bites, which I have the world's most sensitive skin. So it all makes sense. And I think we're on the mend. And I'm going to go pay them so I can go vacuum out my car. Because there's pet hair and I got a flea bite in my car. So yeah, that's all for now. I got to go vacuum my car so I can get home and have some pizza.